Imagine a world drowned in endless ice, where survival itself was rare and extinction always near. This is the forgotten tale of humanity's struggle 950,000 years ago, when every breath was a victory against death. The earth lay frozen under a merciless ice age, glaciers swallowed valleys, oceans hardened into wastelands, and sunlight dimmed behind endless storms. For early humans, nature itself became an enemy that tested every instinct for survival. Temperatures collapsed to unimaginable lows, forests withered, plains turned white, and rivers froze solid. Every step outside meant braving knives of cold wind, where a single mistake could cost not only lives, but entire tribes. Food vanished. Great herds wandered to warmer lands or perished beneath the frost. Each hunt became a gamble between life and starvation, where failure often meant watching loved ones fade away in hunger. Fire was salvation, yet every flame was fragile, always threatened by howling winds and falling snow. Without fire, nights turned into death traps of freezing darkness, where predators prowled unseen. Shelter became humanity's first fortress. Families crowded inside caves, draping animal hides across stone walls. Still, icy air crept through cracks, and each night became a battle to hold on to fragile warmth. Hunters stalked giants, mammoths, woolly rhinos, and massive bison. Spears of wood tipped with stone were their only weapons. One wrong move, and an entire hunting party could be crushed or gored in seconds. Teamwork was survival. Hunters spread out, encircled beasts, and drove them into ambushes. Every successful strike fed the tribe. Every failure left them weaker, hungrier, and closer to extinction. When hunts failed, humans scavenged. They stole meat from predator kills, smashing bones to reach marrow, chewing fat and scraps. What was discarded by beasts became priceless fuel for human survival. Even plants were rare treasures. Frozen ground yielded nothing but roots, bitter leaves, or dry grasses. Yet in a starving world, these small scraps meant hope, however fragile. Malnutrition left tribes broken, bones grew brittle, energy faded, and disease spread. The young and the old perished first, their loss echoing through families that could spare no lives. Caves offered refuge, but also damp cold and darkness. Firelight flickered on rough walls, shadows stretching like spirits, as families pressed closer together to survive another night. Animal hides became shields, furs stitched with bone needles formed cloaks and blankets, crude armor against frostbite. Every stitch meant one more chance at living through the endless winter. When caves were scarce, humans built from bones and branches. Mammoth tusks framed shelters, covered with hides, shaped by ingenuity. Innovation was as important as courage in this frozen age. Tribes wandered endlessly. They followed herds, crossing vast frozen plains. Each journey a test of strength and spirit. With every step, the land reminded them, survival had a cost. Injury was fatal, a broken bone, an infected wound, even frostbite could end a life. With no medicine, weakness was often the same as death. Humans were not alone. Saber-toothed cats stalked the snow, their fangs designed to pierce flesh. Cave lions and giant hyenas prowled in packs, faster, stronger, and deadlier than fragile human hunters. Fire became more than warmth, it was a weapon. Flames and smoke kept predators at bay, the only fragile wall between life and the beasts of night. Children slept closest to the fire, guarded by mothers clutching sharpened sticks, while men stood watch at cave mouths. Each roar in the dark froze blood in their veins. A single growl outside a cave could silence an entire tribe. Hunger was terrifying, but nothing struck fear deeper than predators waiting in the shadows. And yet, the cold itself was deadlier than fangs or claws. Invisible, merciless, it seeped into every bone until even the strongest felt themselves breaking. Survival meant unity. Families and small tribes clung to each other. Alone, death was certain. Together, they found strength, courage, and the will to keep moving forward. Around fires, elders taught survival through stories and signs, lessons of hunts, dangers, and hope. These first sparks of knowledge carried humanity's flame across generations. Food was shared carefully. Betrayal was unforgivable, for it meant death to others. In these times, trust was more valuable than any tool. Every role mattered: hunters, gatherers, fire keepers, and caregivers. Even the weak were vital, teaching, guiding, and helping hold tribes together when survival seemed impossible. From this necessity, compassion was born. Humans learned survival was not only strength, but care. Without empathy, the species would not have endured. Science reveals a chilling truth: humanity once dwindled to only a few thousand survivors. An entire species, teetering on the razor's edge of extinction. This bottleneck almost erased our story. A harsh winter, a failed hunt, or a spreading sickness could have ended humanity forever. Yet, against impossible odds, a few held on. Their endurance became the seed of every future human alive today. Each child born was a miracle, a fragile promise carried through storms. Every breath they took meant our story continued one day longer. It was these survivors, few, desperate, and determined, who carried the human torch through the darkest age of our history. Fire was more than survival, it was transformation. It cooked food, released hidden nutrients, and strengthened bodies against the cold. Sparks struck from stone, embers carried in bark, fire became sacred. Losing it meant death, keeping it meant life. With fire, humans crafted tools, hardened spear tips, and shaped weapons that made hunts more successful. Innovation meant power in a world ruled by giants. But fire was also community. Around flames, tribes sang, performed rituals, and shared bonds that gave hope in endless nights. In the frozen silence, fire was more than heat, it was the symbol of life itself, the light that defined humanity. As ice tightened its grip, tribes began moving, wandering across frozen rivers and windswept plains. They searched desperately for safer lands. Rivers became guides, paths of water, fish, and direction. Each bend led them deeper into the unknown, but also toward survival. Mountains, glaciers, and blizzards blocked the way. Each obstacle claimed lives. Yet migration was the only hope for tribes clinging to existence. Some groups vanished, erased by hunger, storms, or predators. Others endured, adapting and pushing humanity further across the frozen world. These wanderers laid the foundations for humanity's future spread. Their footsteps carved the road our species would walk for thousands of years. Despite unimaginable suffering, humans clung to life. Their stubbornness carved a legacy of survival into the very fabric of our species. They learned to invent, to adapt, and to share wisdom. Every tool, every story, became part of a growing strength passed forward through time. Their struggle shaped intelligence, creativity, and resilience. The very traits that define us today were born in those frozen nights. Without them, there would be no cities, no languages, no history. Every viewer of this story is living proof of their victory. Life 950,000 years ago was brutal, but it forged something unbreakable, the spirit of humanity, a fire that still burns within us all. This was the forgotten chapter of our past, when survival meant everything, and existence itself was fragile. If their courage inspires you, remember, humanity endures, no matter the odds. Subscribe to Mythborn for more untold stories of our ancestors.